Today on Studio Stew, we missed you, so we decided to pop back in. Jen,
Hello.
Matt, we know you know us. We know you. We're all good friends here. What are we talking about today?
Well, Matt, I'm so glad you asked. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about what it means to be a creator. Um, I guess officially, um, if you're wondering, like, am I ready to start posting my stuff? Am I ready to start calling myself an artist, a musician, a podcaster, whatever it is that you're doing creatively? Like, by definition, I feel like if you're doing it, then you are. So if you're drawing, you're an artist. You might not be a great artist, or you might not be where you want to be as an artist. But I would say if you're doing it, you are that thing that you are doing.
Yes.
um, but let's be honest. We all want a little bit more affirmation, a little bit of a feeling of legitimacy before we go out there in the world and we start like applying that label to ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're gonna find a lot. I think you're gonna find a lot of videos on the internet telling you, how you should advertise yourself, how you should make a brand, um, how you can start monetizing your work. And this is one way, that people can separate themselves from like aspiring creators to like official creators. If they're monetized, then suddenly you can apply yourself that professional label. I am a professional artist because I have affirmation from the rest of the world, or at least from my personal clients, that my artwork is worthy of being paid for. So therefore, I have some affirmation to my skills as an artist. And I guess I'm just here to give the flip side of the coin on that because I have worked professionally before. And at some point when I was younger and, a little bit more insecure about myself and about my skills, I needed that sense of affirmation. I was searching for that sense of affirmation to feel like I'm a legitimate artist now. And then if I'm not, working professionally, then somehow that lack of credentials, says something about my ability or my talent or my skill as an artist, that somehow I'm lesser than somebody who works professionally. And in hindsight, now that I am, doing just art for myself and I'm choosing not to work professionally, and I'm enjoying the creative process more, I'm kind of just doing my own thing. I just want to present that side of the argument that I do not believe that you need to work professionally or to monetize your work or to, get feedback from other people in order to be a legitimate artist, creator, whatever it is that you want to label yourself as or you want to create. That doesn't inherently detract from your value or your skill or your ability or your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, any thoughts
I
you'd like to
mean,
add?
again, great intro. And you say professional. I wrote professional equals for money. Not that that's a definitive and like a statement. It just reminds me that when you bring money into it, everything sort of changes. Everything sort of becomes time becomes a problem. Content itself becomes a problem. The question to ask yourself as a creator is this what you even wanted? I think we've referenced it many times as we keep building on this is why did you even start in the first place? Was it to become a monolith YouTube creator where making money and all that stuff sounds nice on paper, but you kind of buy into what it takes. So if you do it for the love, as I like to call it, do it for the love, whether it's for yourself or to share it. I think what Jen's saying here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you don't have to give things away or cheapen your art or cheapen your things and become some bargain bin dollar store version of yourself. Doing it for you and for the love and for the creative process and the enjoyment is just as important as how we harp on the fundamentals and everything. That almost is a fundamental. And forgive me if I say this, you might just be talking to two older people here, and we're kind of hipping you to some old man grandpa advice. I won't put you in that boat, but it's kind of like live and learn. I've played on stages, played music for money. My personal example, hope I'm not getting too far off the beaten path here,
No, this
is
is totally
we had to
relevant.
play songs that people wanted to hear. Were they the songs I wanted to play? Mostly not. Um, Conducting yourself a certain way, being places on time, interacting with people in these places, and always being on and always being this charming, helpful, happy kind of person because you're selling them a product, you're selling them a good night out. And a colleague of mine is always, you're there to sell food and drinks just like everybody else. That's what's making the money here. You happen to have the part of that sales job where you get to play your instrument or be creative, but you're still there for a reason and you need to play by the rules, which I think ties in greatly. And I don't want to diss the place we're going to post this video, which is YouTube, wherever you say it in pig Latin, but you got to play by their rules once you get monetized, really. I mean, and you see these creators getting taken down and all these things happen. So, kind of to get us back here, um, you know, you're going to have to deal with, dollars and critics, basically like, and is that what you wanted to do at all in the first place, really? Am I on track? I know I rant a lot.
No, I mean, I think that that perfectly illustrates what I was kind of speaking more from, like, my artistic background,
Hmm.
from your music background, a very similar parallel kind of experience. And I wrote on the board there sports because I feel like sports is maybe something that's a little bit more in the public eye that people have a little bit more of an understanding about. Is that when you're doing like little league, or even just like, I don't know, maybe there's a softball team for your coworkers or something.
Hmm.
Nobody expects to get paid, for doing sports on a hobby basis. But it doesn't take away from that experience. It doesn't make it any less of a worthwhile thing to do. You still get the enjoyment of, playing the sport, putting forth effort, working together as a team, and you still want to win your games. And maybe your win or loss doesn't make the headline in the papers, and maybe nobody talks about it other than you and your fellow coworkers, your fellow players, or people in your just very small circle of participants. But that doesn't mean that you weren't playing softball, that you weren't a softball player, that you don't know how the rules of the game work, and that you don't have your own personal goals that you get personal fulfillment from, whether it be your own personal batting record. Which brings me to another point about sports being kind of being able to compare sports to like making things creatively. Is that yes, there are people who are born maybe with a certain aptitude for sports, but at the end of the day, it's all about the hard work and training, that they put their bodies through. And I think people have an understanding when they're doing sports how much effort you have to invest to work at a professional level. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. You're really putting your body through the ringer, trying to achieve this certain level of excellence. And I would argue that doing art professionally and my guess doing music professionally there's a similar amount of effort that needs to be put forward to kind of reach that level of excellence where you're like kind of up and above, you know, that I honestly can't draw as much as I used to when I was young. My hands can't take it anymore.
Same thing,
So I
playing.
do it more moderately. And I think that that's something that's not really talked about a lot in the art community is how this working at this certain level where you're pursuing this certain professional level of excellency in your field that can take a toll on you.
Hmm.
You can have to end up sacrificing certain things in your life, whether that be a balance, a work family friend
Hmm.
sanity balance,
Yeah.
whether that be even a physical toll on you, whether that be with your eyes because you're staring at screens all day, or your hands and your wrists because you're constantly working with them, Matt, do you have anything to add to
Yeah,
that?
I mean it's all in there. And kind of the work-life balance. Keep me on track here with the sports analogy. I want to go back to that. But the work-life balance, that's the thing. You started off, and then you started posting, and then you want to get monetized. Well, there's so many other things that you have to balance, and you go, well, why am I even doing this anymore? Is it for the likes and things like that? I guess disclaimer too. We're not against monetization. We're not against likes. I'm guilty of the feedback loop too. But once you cross the line to professional, you kind of, in my mind, do it two ways. You're either the machine. I hate to say it. You're doing the things that, like when I was in the cover band, you're doing the things that make you money, and you know the formula at whatever cost, or you do it for the love, and if it gets monetized and it's not that it's more pure or better, it's just that you probably will stay more sane and have enjoyment at the end. I don't do this route anymore because I could start a machine band any day and go start making, hundreds of dollars each night. But I'm way in your camp. I am in this enjoyment phase that I love so much more, and nothing controls
And you
me.
don't have to stay one to the other, right?
No.
Because like maybe you do things like like we did professionally for a while, and then you get kind of burnt out, and you want to be able to have the freedom of just being able to do it more as a hobby
Hmm.
or on the side, or at least not have to rely on it financially, because that's going to have all of its own pressures in it.
You've said it. The
So,
reliance on it changes everything. Yes. And to get back to our sports analogy, there's so many. I don't understand why. Sports analogies just work so well, even as a non sports playing machine. Um, but people really appreciate the starting young, working, the work ethic, just the amount of time and energy and effort. Michael Jordan skipping school to shoot baskets is this god tier worship thing that people, it's like, it's so American to think of how awesome Michael Jordan was to do that and just focus so hard. But if you practice drawing curves or scales on your guitar, everyone seems to take arts and things they as a thing they don't understand and going, you have talent. And that talent, well, you practice, but talent. Well, you practice, but talent. I mean, it only goes so far. You have that talent, but if you're not honing it, you're not really getting anywhere. And then my sports analogy, I'll leave you with, and then feel free. Golf is a great one, in my opinion. You can be the best and you can have a better score, but really, they always say you're playing against yourself. It's a game between you and the links, and it's like its own thing. Um, if you want to go out and play and be the best, that's fine. If you want to go and you don't even care about the score, you just like being outside, there's merit from stop to stern. I don't know what the term is, but you'll find that there is enjoyment at both ends, but know that they each come with their own sort of, I don't know, not beware, but they come with their own set of rules, regulations, feels, and thoughts, and all that stuff.
and
So,
and we're kind of more focusing right now on like the hobbyist or the non monetized approach, but because I feel like that's an underrepresented
mm-hmm,
perspective, because I want to be able to say that that's okay and it doesn't make you any less of an artist or a musician
mm-hmm.
or a sports player.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, like it's fine too to like be in a spot in your life where like you want to go hard, and monetizing your work is what enables you to go hard, and then just to like be in a different point in your life to be like, well, now I'm gonna do something different, and that doesn't make whatever you're working on any more or any less,
mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
So yeah, I hope everybody can just enjoy the process at where you're at. And if you find yourself in a position where either like monetizing is holding you back from enjoying the process, or you feel like not monetizing is holding you back from the process, yeah, to take those steps to like cross those barriers, but don't ever feel like you are bound to them. That this is like now your chain and ball, and that you have to stick to it.
yeah. You just said in kind of in my final thoughts on it really is just It's not, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And all the things I read online and see, people really, really get. I say that and then I go, oh, of course everyone knows that. And then I look at myself and go, oh my gosh, even I'm victim to it. Is it doesn't have, you don't have to be like, well, I chose this route, so it's forever.
I will say, though, much like being a stay at home working parent, it is very difficult to do both at the same time. So do not get down on yourself if you are working. Usually when you're working in the arts, it's going to be longer than a 9 to 5, and then you don't have any energy left over for your personal project because you just used up all your gas, your creative gas,
Or physical gas,
or
like you said, the
creative and physical
dexterity.
gas. Yeah.
The dexterity. The one I think of too, just to kind of, just tack it on here, tattoo artists. They're holding a vibrating, heavy detail machine in their hands, and they're extremely focused. I mean, hours at a time, hours and hours at a time on one piece that they didn't draw. That was another one I found as I was getting tattoos is, oh, I don't do that. I do custom work because at least they're drawing it themselves and doing their own work. They're not just Mr. Copycat, which, again, you think, oh, it's a tattoo artist. I pay him to do that. Well, no, it's their art or even though it's their profession, it is their art. So you see both sides, and it's okay to do one for a while or both, but the perils that we have warned you against. Beware. Ooh, this Halloween. Beware of the perils of professional creatism. Anyway, do you have anything else?
I think I've said my piece for
Yes.
today.
And we thank you for that. I've said my piece for what it's worth. This has been Studio Stew with Matt,
And Jen.
and we will see you next time. Again, I remind you all, email us, call us, comment, let us know what you think, what you want us to talk about. What do you feel passionate about? What do you think of what we said? Are we wrong? We're probably wrong, but we could be right. We're always right. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.
Bye.